Hey everybody, it's Robb and Maureen, and we are back with another Stromad moment for you today.
We are going to discuss the age-old question, is RVing cheaper than conventional living in a house or an apartment?
Good question.
Boy, oh boy, we see it all the time. The short and the long answer of this question is maybe yes and maybe no. But we are going to look at it tonight in depth. So we're glad you're joining us. The most valuable piece of advice that we can offer you is you have to educate yourself. You are responsible for your research. It doesn't matter what social media outlet you are going to use. They are filled with all kinds of opinions and comments.
No.
Yes, and some people will give you facts, and some people will give you their opinions, and some people will just give you a bunch of crap out there. Doesn't matter what it is. You can find whatever answer you happen to be looking for, but we really challenge you here to find the real of it. You know, social media, the internet, all those wonderful things out there, they're all designed to market you and to help you make a decision. The fact of the matter is, you have to get educated.
Asking questions on Facebook of other RVers is fine. However, I think you need to qualify your question and make sure it's detailed to answer your specific need. So many people ask so many vague questions, I'm really not sure how the answers could even help them unless you really bring them into your personal context.
It always surprises me when people ask this question, is RVing cheaper than living in a house? Well, who knows until you decide a few things. So you got to be clear on how and why you want to RV. You can't determine any of this until you determine what it is you want. It's almost like saying, should I add pudding or water to this recipe? Well, it depends on what you're making. If you're making gravy for roast beef, you're going to want to add water. And if you are making dessert, you're probably going to want to add pudding. So you've got to be clear, and that is ask a question in the context that you want the answer. Is RVing cheaper than living in a house? Well, I don't know. Let's look at it.
The real of it is a flat in Manhattan may be more expensive than a 2001 Southwind Class A, right? However, a 2021 Tiffin Allegro bus might be a close runner in the same amount that flat is going to cost you. May even be more expensive. You can live however you want in an RV. You can live extremely cheap in an RV if you want, and you don't mind a kind of a rugged lifestyle. You can live just as luxuriously as you want as well. There's a huge market for both and really anywhere in between. So you have to determine where are you in that. It's up to you to determine what your needs are personally, not compared to what everyone else does or everyone else spends. This is not about the Joneses. This is about you and your perfect RV life.
So at some point you are going to have to decide what kind of rig you want. What do you want to look at? What's important to you in it? We knew what was important to us when we bought our rig. We really challenge you. Do you want a bathroom? Do you want a shower? Do you want 2 bedrooms? Do you want a fireplace? Do you want all electric? Do you want propane? All of these decisions, there's so many out there. And you can start to narrow it down if you just make a list of what you want in an RV.
And what it costs. What will your finances bear? And when you take your research, you get some ideas, you narrow your focus, and you personally run the numbers and compare them to your needs and your desires. If you don't do that, if you don't figure it out, then you're just assuming, or you're hypothesizing, or you're dreaming, or you're living somebody else's dream.
I saw something the other day, somebody was talking about laundry, and they're like, how much does it cost to do laundry? Well, it depends on how many loads you have if you've got to go to the laundromat. It was important for me to have a laundry in our rig. I'm full-time, and I had done too many loads as a part-time traveler in a hotel or in a laundromat. Laundry was important.
It's not to some people, and that's okay. That's what makes the world go around, different strokes for different folks. So for us, we've experienced several different types of nomadic living. Prior to RV living, we sold our home and we attempted to downsize as much as we could. Anything else, we put in a great big ass storage unit.
We're still working on.
Yeah. So we started out really our full-time life in our dually. Our Chevy dually. We packed everything in there that we thought we would need forever, and we worked in hotels, timeshares, Airbnbs, pack in, pack out. You could see the fear on the face of the front desk person thinking, are these guys ever going to move out? It's like we were moving into an apartment.
Every week.
We decided after that though, hey, let's try an RV. Our first unit was not our last unit, and it's not for most people. What we decided to do was to start out with something rather than our dream unit, a unit that was affordable, a unit that would give us some flexibility to understand what the lifestyle was, and if we really wanted to do that before we jumped way in.
Our dream has always been to have a Renegade. 20 years we've been looking at Renegades, touring Renegades. If there was one, we were sniffing it, we were looking inside, we were touring it. So this one particular day, we were in Florida and we had already decided this was it. They had the Renegade that we were liking, and we were sitting in the dealership and we were ready to sign. This was the dream machine. We were ready. Before we inked the paper, we said, hey, let's go out to lunch. And we had a little discussion and we thought, wait a minute, we don't want to do this. We're not ready to jump up to this. So we canceled the deal and we opted to buy a 52-foot race car trailer. Now that sounds impressive, doesn't it?
Well, except for we had to haul all our business equipment in it, and we had to live in it. So we got to live in 22 feet and the business lived in 30 feet. We went from a 2,000 square foot house to a big hotel room or a condo or an Airbnb to 175 square feet of living space. Truly a bit of a transition. But in deciding whether or not we wanted to buy the rig, after we had some inspection done, we took a look and we said, okay, we can make this work. We make a couple adjustments and we'll give it a shot and we'll try it out and we'll find out if it does work for us. It really worked for us. But we counted those costs in when we bought the unit and said, hey, we're going to have to do a couple upgrades. We're going to have to change a few things, and it will meet our needs for this purchase. And it truly really did. But what the big part of that was that we had first determined what our needs were and what our wants were for a rig based on our desires, our full-time nomad life, our business life. So this rig really worked for us as an entry-level rig just to get us started. We paid cash for it, so we didn't have to worry about the payment or if we bought the wrong unit or whatever. We could sell it.
It wasn't too bad, and it kind of got us used to what we had thought that the RV lifestyle was going to be. At that point in time, we were working a lot, and it allowed us to stay on grounds, eliminating the travel back and forth to the hotels, and we were able to cook. We were able to get caught up on stuff, so we really bought back our time. But we're going to talk about that in another video.
So about a year later, we decided that we were going to upgrade to the coach of our dreams, which is sitting behind us. And it has the comfort and the luxury that we want, and it has the ability to do what we needed it to do. We had been evaluating Renegades, like Maureen said, for almost 20 years. We knew their quality, we knew their design, we knew they would tow what we needed to tow over the Rockies. So we knew what we needed, we knew what we desired. We got told plenty of times, do you really need that? Is that the right unit? Should you do that? You should buy this or that or whatever. But we had evaluated. We needed reliability, we needed serviceability, and we knew that Renegade had both of those, and they had quality. And it's a Class C, because a lot of times we traveled to the backside of nowhere and we needed something that somebody could work on anywhere. And with Class A, that just really doesn't happen. So that's part of the reason we went with the Class C. And again, with the research we did, we knew Renegade would meet all of our needs, wants, desires, our comfort level, and then we had to think, can we get this done in a budget that we can live with? We looked at Renegades, we looked at used units, we looked at new units, we looked at all kinds of units.
Single Renegade that existed.
Coast to coast almost.
We did.
Prices range from $100,000 up to $650,000.
I remember sitting there and being held because the finance guy was coming out, or he was reviewing the offer or whatever, line of stuff they tell you. And he started talking about the Renegade Icon. Well, for you guys that are Renegade people, you already know, but Icon is the Mac Daddy out there. It is luxury. I mean, it looks like a freaking disco inside. It's so beautiful. It's got marble and I don't even know what else. Heated toilet seat. It's got everything. So I was just like, oh my God, can I see it? Can I go inside? Because I had never seen one. It was just like the elusive unicorn out there. The salesman said no. He said, no, I'm not even going to take you into it because you can't afford it. So it's just going to hurt your feelings by seeing it. And I thought, well, no, you just hurt my feelings. So the offer is no longer on the table. I'm not going to buy a Renegade from you. So sorry. Still bought a Renegade though.
We did buy a Renegade. Ended up buying, again, a brand new Verona LE LTS based on our budget, based on our comfort level, and what we needed to accomplish. We felt this was the best unit for us, and it has been. We have not looked back any day since we've bought this unit.
No.
It has fulfilled everything that it was supposed to do and more.
We do love our Renegade, and we love traveling in it. We love living in it. It doesn't matter whether it's a fancy RV park or a Walmart. We love it. Which brings us to our next tip or topic that we want to talk about is outfitting your RV. Guess what? RVs don't come with everything that you need. There's going to be a whole lot of stuff. For as luxury as our Renegade was, we still had to upgrade the mattress, and we had to upgrade our seating. We took out the couch and replaced it with Lambright recliners, and you would probably freak out if you knew how much they cost. When you start looking at furniture and you check out Lambright, you'll see, are they worth it?
Every bit of it.
Every bit of it. We have talked about some of the fixed expenses. We didn't mention insurance and all the rest of that stuff out there. You're going to have to figure that in. But we are going to now talk about some of your rolling expenses, some of the things that are going to change. And a lot of times we underestimate the cost, and that is the cost of travel itself. There's a lot to it, and you're going to have to get real with yourself and ask yourself, how do you want to do this? Do you want to travel full time? What does that mean? Does that mean you want to drive every day? Do you want to live week to week somewhere? Do you want to maybe stay a month somewhere and try a month somewhere else? What part of the country do you want to live in? Do you want to live in, right now we are in southeastern Pennsylvania. It is rather expensive here. You guys probably have heard the word boondocking or dispersed camping or BLM. Well, that does not exist right here where we are. So everything's at a premium. When you go out further west, you might find that a lot. You might love the desert. You might hate the desert once you get there. It's really going to be a matter. You might want to live on a beach. You might have an idea that, oh, I'm going to watch the sunrise or I'm going to watch the sunset. Well, if you are a sunsetter like me and you want to stay on the beach, well, you are probably going to pay a premium, like a lot of money for that. Otherwise, you might want to go out to, Boca Chica and live there for free. But it all depends on what you want to do and how you're going to do it. You're going to have to evaluate your travel costs.
Yep. So when you're looking at that, whether RVing life, if you want an RV life and you want to determine whether it's cheaper than conventional life, it depends. It depends on your desires, depends on your costs, and how that works. Sure, you want to live in a van down by the river, it might be cheaper than living in a luxury resort in Key West in the winter. It just depends on what you want. Our desire is to be able to explore the United States, some of Canada, and hopefully we'll get an opportunity to go even in a caravan to Mexico. That's what we want to do. And we count the costs on what does it take to do that? How much is it going to be? You have to take the time to look at that and to really evaluate how much it costs. We just priced out a trip. One of our next adventures, or the adventures that we want to do, as our grandson would say, he calls them adventures. We want to go to Alaska. Well, when we priced that trip with the time frame that we wanted to take and the excursions and the things that we wanted to do, we're looking at about $12,000. That's a lot of money over and above our regular fixed monthly expenses. So when we looked at that, that number gives us a baseline to work with. And we can decide, can we afford it? Number one, do we want to spend that much money? And do we want to look at other options? Or what do we want to do? We may just go. It just depends. It's a lifetime, once in a lifetime trip. So maybe that's worth it. That's what you have to determine when you're looking out and you're starting to do your planning. And a lot of times, a lot of routing, it's expensive. Fuel prices right now are projected to go up, so it's something to look at. You know, if you're going into Canada, if you're going into the west into California and stuff, fuel is way more expensive than it is on the East Coast or in the Southeast.
Yep. Once you take the time to plan and evaluate your wants and your needs, your desires, your finances, marry them together, you will feel empowered and you will be confident in making your decisions. Understanding your facts and not the expressed opinions of others. You can quickly pivot and you can change direction if something is not meeting your needs, as long as you are willing to be flexible. Be flexible in your travels, be flexible in your location, and be flexible with your wants and needs.
Sure, and with your significant other.
It's okay to change your mind, and it's okay when things don't go exactly as planned. You just have to be prepared that anything could happen. Gosh, you guys all saw that weather this year in Texas. Who would have thought that? We've seen people go through really, really bad weather and then decide in a minute they've got to evacuate. You have to be prepared, and that will come with educating yourself as to what you need to do as an RVer. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up and we're going to ask you one more time to answer the question, is RVing cheaper than living in a conventional home? We don't know. Only you can answer that based on your decisions. But what we have done is developed an outline that will help you to make some of these decisions. It'll help you to evaluate your costs and get you started. Some of the questions that we ask on the sheet are, what type of RV do you want to own? Do you need a truck or a tow vehicle? Do you want to travel or stay stationary? And how often do you want to travel? For me, I'm ready to travel every single 10 days. 3 weeks is about my maximum, but we do push it to 4 because it saves on a little bit of money when you stay in an RV park. How do you evaluate your fuel? Do you know how to get your fuel mileage? I didn't. I had no idea until I started keeping logs of our fuel mileage and watching it and evaluating it.
Yeah, what's your travel budget? How much do you really want to spend? How much money is it going to take to outfit your RV to do what you want to do? If we decide to go to Alaska, part of that cost was bringing on some extra equipment that we're going to need for the rugged terrain that we would be facing. So those are things you have to look at. Memberships, you're going to need or maybe want all kinds of memberships, and there's a bunch of them, and people want to sell you all this stuff. You have to decide which ones are going to work for you. tolls. Now you got extra axles. It's way more expensive in these things than it is in a regular car. All this stuff that you want to do, all these places you want to go, a lot of them have admission fees, national parks, state parks, things like that, attractions. You got to count that. Maureen talked about insurance. Insurance can be really bigger than what you think it is. Health insurance is a big thing. Sounds like a lot of information.
It is a lot of information. Folks, this is just the tip out there. We are just helping you out, trying to give you some idea and giving you some valuable resources. We want to see you living your perfect RV life. We, for the most part, we do live our perfect RV life, and we want you to be successful. After 16 years of almost full-time traveling, like 280 days a year, to now full-time for 4 years on the road, we've learned some lessons, and we've learned them the hard way. We have also had some great results because we educated ourselves.
We try to do the research and do accurate research from trusted sources, trusted people, and Facebook. And guess what? If you listen to Facebook, or if we would have listened to Facebook, we would have never went to Florida.
No.
Because Florida's sold out. It's sold out in a year in advance all the time.
You can't get an RV spot anywhere in the whole state.
You can't go. Well, guess what? We've been to Florida for the last 3 years. We've booked less than 90 days in advance, and we've spent 8 months there, including the Keys.
Yeah.
So don't listen to everything everybody tells you.
Make the phone calls, do your own research, and stop listening to the negative Nellies out there.
Your perfect RV life can happen. That's what we want you to know. That's what we want you to convey to you today. You just need to be prepared. You need to spend some time. Do some quality research yourself, not other people's opinions. And get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. Down
in the notes, you're going to find a link to a free download. We really want you to take advantage of that. Check that out. Let us know if you like what we have. Please subscribe. You can ring the bell for notifications. We have some really fun tequila videos if you like that, and a lot of just life tips that you can use out there on your RV travels.
All right. Well, that's it for today. We're the Stromads, and we will hopefully see you on the road.